We're back.
Yeah, wait, were we gone?
Yeah, ever since last week. And now we're
Well, I
back.
mean, yeah, I
And Craig's
guess.
here.
And Geark left again.
I don't think he's around anymore. I'm fairly sure he
Uh,
caught a flight to Aruba or something and is never coming back.
how did he get money to go to Aruba? We don't pay him.
I don't know. He probably just stowed away, hitched a ride somewhere.
I miss you, Geark. Come back. I'm having your baby. Well, I have a baby for you to eat, but that's different subject altogether, I guess.
Wasn't aware Geark was a giant like you.
Oh, he's not. There's
Oh,
two, there's two kind of villains that eat babies: giants and small Weasley things.
oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, Suicide Squad. What was his name? Weasel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he was in prison, was for eating kids.
Well, I am GDM Christopher. You're
I am Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay.
yeah, and
I
I am. I want to start this off by saying we are in no way sponsored by McDonald's on this stream, and
That's
so
for sure.
this opinion is mine and mine alone. If anyone would like to sponsor the stream, please feel free to reach out to me at grumpydungeonmasters@gmail.com. But I was at McDonald's after I ran a game for a group of a family playing D&D for the first time, which we'll talk about here in a little bit.
That's right. I forgot you were doing that.
Yeah, and I didn't know what I really wanted because we were buying McDonald's for more for my daughter because she was very good while we were over at their house. And there was something on the menu that I've never seen before. And it's weird because I worked at McDonald's, so I've never seen this before. It was a quarter pounder deluxe.
Okay. What is the
Essentially,
deluxe?
it's essentially a Whopper, but a quarter pounder, but as a Whopper. So lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise instead of the traditional just onions, ketchup, mustard.
Is it actually grilled as compared to the crap that McDonald's provides?
No, it's a quarter pounder. Just the toppings are different.
All right.
And I've never had that.
It's a quarter pounder without the good taste.
So yeah, so I decided to get that and order that, and I ate it. And let me tell you, it was disgusting. A worst decision of my life so far. I have heartburn now. I may not talk a lot during the stream. The acid reflux is killing me.
Well, as somebody who lives with GERD, yeah. Good luck. Good luck. I have acid reflux 365 days of the year.
Oh God, it was just the worst experience ever. And you're gonna have to start this whole thing, and then I'll chime in with.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised we're calling ourselves the Grumpy Dungeon Masters, because this Saturday I don't think either of us DM'd. We both played.
Well, I would say that this is my highest kill week that I've ever had as a Grumpy Dungeon Master, in my 20 years playing characters. So I definitely can. I have that badge. I'm wearing it proudly, with a huge just. Oh dear God, why sigh just right next to it.
Yeah, you've mentioned this to me, but I will absolutely let you tell that story for yourself here after a while.
Yeah.
Uh, so the other DM this weekend, my buddy Johnny, he decided to run, and he ran a one shot, and I already know kind of your thoughts on this, just because I know you don't like you're not familiar with high level games. So we ran or I got to play in a one shot. He's like, okay. And for all our listeners, go ahead and play along. Make your fucking characters exactly with the stats I'm about to tell you. We started out 20th level. You had the starting stats were 18, 16, 14, 12, 12, 10, which is the standard. That's the array that I normally use and that he normally uses. And we started with one legendary item, one very rare item, and 4 items that could be rare or uncommon, however you want to do it. But basically a total of 6 magic items.
Okay.
And so right out of the gate, we're like, oh, I have access to everything. Everything shy of an artifact. All right. So I ended up making a fucking artificer artillerist for this thing.
Yep.
Because why stop at 6 magic items when I can have 12? uh, the legendary item, I ended up just going with the Staff of the Magi. Because why not? You know, fireballs. Fireballs are always useful.
Okay.
And even though I still think the staff of the what the fuck is the other one? There's another really high level staff. I think the other one is a little better, but Staff of the Magi is still really good. My
I'm sure you don't want like the staff of bird calls.
yeah, I mean that would have been a solid second choice.
Okay.
No, my very rare item was the Peregrine mask, which is from Ravnica.
Okay.
It's a mask that you can wear. It gives you advantage on initiative checks, and you have a 60-foot fly speed.
Okay.
Just 24 hours a day, all the time. As long as you're wearing it, you can fly.
Neat.
So yeah, two very solid magic item choices. I felt. Fuck, what were my other items? I'm trying to even remember at this point. Oh yeah, I took a. There was an ion stone that lets you store 3 spells in it, and
Mm-hmm.
I took 2 rings of spell storing. So at that point I can have 13 levels of spells just stored.
Okay.
And then I took Magic Initiate. I took Bard as the class that you basically get a spell from. And
Mm-hmm.
what was the first level spell that I took?
Silvery barbs.
Damn straight it was. Now, Silvery Barbs with Magic Initiate, I can only cast it once per long rest.
For
But
free.
yeah, for free. But I also had 13 levels of spells to store. So I went into this thing with 14 silvery barbs,
Okay.
which is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And in most situations, it's as broken as I've said it was.
Yeah.
The only time I found where it was less useful in this thing was when we were taking on a very high level fighter, like epic level fighter. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just because he has so many goddamn attacks every round.
Yeah.
So
You just
yeah,
stop the crits.
yeah. He had the legendary resists and everything, but every opportunity that I got, see, I was just playing the artificer, throwing fireballs and nukes and whatnot. But we had another caster or warlock in there who had access to a lot of stuff. So he keeps throwing slow at him. He keeps throwing all sorts of other stuff. The cleric's throwing spells, and every opportunity I get, I am making him burn a legendary resistance due to silvery barbs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And finally, we ended up getting. Mind you, it wasn't even necessarily because of the silvery barbs, but we got confusion on him, and then we ended up getting slow on him. And once slow sticks on a high level fighter, it's just fucking over. Like
Yep.
that fighter is fucking done.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, silvery barbs is some bullshit.
Yeah, it really is. Well, I mean, when you have 13 of them, sure. I mean, but when you have 4 or 5 in a fight, it's still horrible.
I never used more than about 3, maybe 4 in a fight. That
Yeah.
was, and that was I was the only one who had it. If the other couple of people had that same thing, oh,
Yeah.
oh my god, nothing would have ever done anything.
The intercept fighting style is also pretty bullshit too.
I don't
Um,
know that one. What does it do?
well, it's something that came off in Tasha's. So
Okay.
if you go to fighting styles and you look specifically at the Tasha's list of them, there is. Let me find it here.
Yeah, I pulled it up. Is it the interception or the protection that's the bullshit?
Interception one is
Okay. When a creature you can see hits a target that is within 5 feet of you with an attack, you can use a reaction to reduce the damage the target takes by a D10 plus your proficiency bonus to a minimum of 0. You must be wielding a shield or a simple martial weapon. That doesn't really sound that bad.
Let
Like,
me tell you this.
I mean, at most you're
It
stopping 15 damage.
at, at low levels.
At low
This
levels,
is
yes.
this has basically saved our butt in this game that we're playing currently. I would say every single round the fighter is using that in some way, shape, or form
Yeah.
to stop anywhere between, well, usually just the average damage, but he stopped attacks at like 10 damage or so. He's
Yeah.
maxed it out, and like it has been just the bane of existence. And like, I honestly think it's better than the protection fighting style, which is what I
Uh,
always had on Thaladred.
Yeah, protection fighting style. When a creature you can see attacks a target other than you that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on the attack roll. You must be
Yeah,
wielding a shield. At low level, yeah,
yeah,
interception is almost certainly better. As you maybe 10th level or higher, protection would sort of take over.
yeah. So when it comes to silvery barbs stopping things, this is also the same thing, but at low levels.
Yeah.
I have two fighters, or two people who've taken a fighting style feat, and taking the fighting style feat as well. And like, you can't hurt them because they'll just trade intercepts back and forth on each other, and they're always within 5 feet of each other. So like, there's nothing you can do because your monsters get one attack around. Even when you start dogpiling them, like, you got misses, and when you factor in all the misses that happen, and then that one attack happens and it gets intercepted. Oh,
Yep. Yeah,
nothing you can do.
well, it's also nice because if you're standing next to your spellcasters or whatever, maybe they have a concentration spell up, you get to help them
Yeah,
keep that concentration going. Your squishy targets, your clerics, yeah,
yeah.
the reduction of damage, it's definitely overlooked a lot of times, but it's a
It
useful skill.
is so good. we we in this last game, if you watch it on Twitch, man, you can just see like, oh, I'm gonna intercept that. Oh, the goblin critical hits and does 8 damage. Intercept
Yeah,
for
they
for
got like
11.
critical hit for 0. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how many crits I stopped with silvery barbs last night.
Hopefully 13.
Well, it wasn't nearly that many. The DM didn't roll 13 crits over the course of the night, but I mean, I prevented 3 or 4 crits at least.
So
Yeah.
good. It really is.
Yep.
It,
Yeah.
I don't I still feel I still gonna let it have my table, and I it's not causing a problem yet. And at 20th level, honestly, it's like you almost have to give the monster more legendary resists because silvery barbs is just going to affect so much more.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
w Silvery barbs with one person having it is not it's really, really good, but it's not game-breakingly good. I think
Yeah,
if you get 2 or 3 people who are heavily utilizing it, it's just game-breaking.
yeah. Um, I also think too that I think mythic level bosses would definitely be a solution for silvery barbs if they go in that direction.
How so?
I mean, you get a second phase of the fight essentially.
Oh, yeah, I
So
see what
like,
you're saying, yeah.
you blow out so much just to kill the monster, and then, okay, since you did that, here's another phase. Like the dragon turtle from Fizzbangs is a good example. It's like, oh cool, we just blew everything and killed this guy. Oh, everything resets. Let's do it again.
And now he's got 600 more hit points. Let's do it
What
around. Do it
it
again.
get yeah, it gives him 3 more legendary resists over the course of a fight. So like, you can
Yeah.
blow the first 3 and then beat him down, get him bloodied essentially, and then, okay, I get 3 more resists back. And I think that, at that high of a level, works, and because there's so many ways to counter monster abilities now, between all these abilities out there,
Yeah.
silvery barbs being the biggest, and that's not even to mention counterspell too. So
Yep.
yeah, the good thing, you
Uh,
only react once per turn.
yeah, and that's a huge thing. God, if they ever added 2 reactions, then it becomes just the most broken goddamn thing ever.
Yeah,
I would never allow silvery barbs in that Star Wars game we played.
no, it
I
was
mean,
just,
yeah,
that was
like
still broke.
yeah, I mean the character I had could do 2 reactions a turn,
Oh
and I
jeez,
know at the highest level I could do 3.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
But that game is like, this is what happens when you break away from the core rules of D and
Oh
D.
yeah. Yeah.
As much as you hate Mr. Crawford and his philosophy of the game, it is a very nicely tight packed set of rules that work 90+% of the time.
Yeah,
And
in general, I think 5e works very, very well.
yeah, and that's very impressive. To get a game that works so well, works at very low levels, or sorry, I mean very low experience players and high experience players can still have the same fun and value with it.
Mhm.
It's really hard to hit both sides. And coming from someone that's worked on documentation and like trying to write something for the lowest common denominator person reading the document, and then also trying to make it useful for the highest common denominator person using the document. D&D is really well written in that regard, so you definitely have to give them props for that. And Sage of Vice is kind of like their catch-all for like clarifying some rules.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, look, I appreciate what sage advice is. I disagree with him often, but I'm glad he's
yeah,
doing it. It used to
yeah,
be like when I was playing D&D in the beginning, if you wanted to know a rule for certainty, you could you could write a letter and mail it to them, and maybe they would print it in their quote unquote sage advice in Dragon magazine.
yeah,
Like otherwise you as the DM had to say this is how it works. I don't know if that's true, but this is how it works.
yeah. I mean, and it's still the way it is nowadays too. So it's like, hey, the DM does make the final call, and sometimes they'll change. I've done that too, and especially in
Oh
fourth
yeah.
edition. Like, I'm going to rule it this way, this time. You know,
Yeah.
Please don't do this again.
Yeah. I do that all the time where if I'm unsure about something, I'm ruling it this way for the moment. And whatever happens here stands later on. If we find out for sure it's not that way, then going forward, it'll be different. But uh,
So, what were you fighting in your level 20 little level
We
21
we had
shot?
we had a handful of fights. It was taking place in the Oriental campaign setting. So a couple of the monsters were actually a lot of the monsters were straight out of the Oriental setting, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if you can find that online anymore. Uh,
I
but
think I have it.
yeah, if you don't, I've definitely got copies of it. There was a couple of like magma constructs that we fought. I don't remember what they were called. Then we ended up having a fight with a lung dragon. That was actually a pretty fun fight, reasonably difficult. And then the final fight was against an NPC and a couple of other like soldier type things with him. That was the big fighter. And mind
Yeah,
you,
you mentioned. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he was a half dragon with a lot of other abilities and shit, legendary resists and so forth.
Okay,
Yeah, and
that's cool.
yeah, the lung dragon was actually kind of a cool fight. If you're not familiar with lung dragon, it's your very oriental style of dragon, uh, like the Chinese dragons. So,
Yeah.
but this thing was flying around the whole time. It's throwing lightning all over the place. Oh, it also had three other minions that it summoned up. I know you've seen Big Trouble in Little China.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, Big Trouble in Little China. So it was basically the three gods that showed up,
Yeah.
and as soon as they pop up, the first thing I do is throw one of them in a wall of force bubble, just taking him right the fuck out of the fight. Then
Yeah.
our barbarian rages on one of them, and I mean he dealt like it was like 100 fucking damage or something in the first round.
Very
Like
cool.
yeah, he ended up putting that dude out of the fight in less than a turn.
Wow.
So, yeah, I had 20th level, man. You can do some stupid shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's for sure. I mean, like you're essentially demigods at that point in time. There's nothing stopping you.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I was average. I was averaging probably about when I was doing damage 70 to 80 around on the artificer. So
I I
I was
really want to play a level 20 like one shot versus like Tiamat or a Terrask or something
oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I've never actually ran an encounter like that. Like I like just even fourth edition Orcas. I never got a chance to use that mini and have that fight.
You know yeah. You need to run it against the great ooze.
I
Run it
did throw
against.
Orcas against a bunch of level 5 characters though.
Well, that's horrible of you. No wonder your kill count's so damn high.
No, we talked about it. It was a very
I
weakened
know, I know.
Orcus. It was just a pit
Yeah.
fiend. Uh,
Oh, just a
yeah,
pit fiend.
just a pit fiend.
But yeah, so I played it was a level 20 artificer artillerist gnome. And
Yeah.
the one thing about it, we were required to all be evil or like no good characters. Could not be good. Neutral at best. Because we were all a bunch of damn dirty mercenaries having to, we were basically the fucking Suicide Squad, is what this group was. So
Nice.
my character had an infatuation with blowing things up. His nickname was the Exploder.
We got the
And
exploder.
yeah, yep. That's pretty much all I did. I had my because with the artillerists, you can make a couple of cannons that will sort of walk around and do things, do attacks and stuff.
Yeah.
My two cannons were a couple of chickens that I had made, like robotic chickens made out of copper and brass. So
Ugh.
every time they cluck, they're shooting like beams of force and fire and shit.
Bark.
Yep. Yeah, people unfortunately started referring to me as Gonzo, which is not what I was going for, but it was well deserved.
Yeah. Gonzo, get him.
Yep.
No.
I will say this is the first time this group of players we've ever actually gotten to do shit that I would have done when I was like 15. Like
Oh.
we end up walking into a bar, ordering drinks, and then literally burning the fucking bar to the ground. Because
Nice.
that's what you do when you're a bunch of evil assholes.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Or you sell magic items or non-magic items at twice the price.
Yes, yes, or eat sentient beings' heads, things like that.
uh, so, yeah, speaking of being super bad, I want to tell my little story. What happened this week? Um, so I'm running Adventures League, and it's still kind of Adventure League light because we're running the hardcover books. I did actually go back and look at the rules when it came to the hardcover. It turns out that if you run a character in a hardcover campaign, that your character most likely will not be allowed to be in any other AL table or
Ah,
be transferred off of that group, specifically
what?
because you're going to get less gold and items than if you ran just Adventure League one shots, and you might get stuff that just doesn't work in other Adventure League modules. So they're it's not that they're very strict about it, it's just that it just probably won't work out. So it's advised that if you have a group of Adventure League people that are running a hardcover, not to let them play anything else,
Yeah.
and just don't bring in anybody new. But being Frost Maiden and killing everybody every half a session is kind of hard, you know. So
No wonder
I
they can't level up or get any magic items, or they're always dead.
they're always dead. Why is everyone dying? So here's my story. We were playing Adventures League, and we went up to the most north town in an Icewind Dale. And I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible. I say spoiler free because what happened was a random encounter. And in the book, there's a lot of random encounter. Well, this was basically a random encounter possibility that's specific to this one town. And I'm keeping it as random as possible. And as you know, my style as a DM is I like to have the dice tell part of the story. And so as we were kind of going through and running this, I was having them make survival check for, follow these tracks in a forest. And then when they found something, when they passed the check, they could then roll a d6. The DM is supposed to roll a d6, but that's how I was having them do it because I want the players to be engaged, and rolling dice is the best way to do that.
Yep.
So they would roll a d6, and basically, if it's anything but a six, they have to roll another d20, and it'll basically be a random encounter, okay, or it'll be a random thing on a d20 table. 1 through 10, nothing happens. 11 through 20, stuff happens. Like you could find a fox hunting a hare, you could find a bear den, you could find a bunch of chewingas
Yep.
in a party. You can find a bunch of deer. Okay, you can find a large goat. You can also find a banshee. So
At level 2.
technically level one.
Oh, even better.
So they roll up and they they get the I think they get one of the large goat ones. They get the Chewinga one, and I give them some boons because they actually role played that situation out well. And I kind of did the bonus one that they have along with the other level 3 thing, just without the capturing of the Chewinga because I think I always felt like it was cruel.
Mhm.
But they rolled the Banshee one, so I had one of my players that's a more senior player basically draw out a map for me and said, hey, draw me some elven ruins, just whatever you want. So he draws out this big map with rocks and trees and like this ruined staircase with some pillars. And as they're kind of like following the trail through this little forest, I have a ghostly figure of a woman appear at the top of the stairs. Okay, and it's at this point in time, it's not hostile, not doing anything aggressive to them. And I tell them that they can they definitely can feel that this character this ghost has sensed their presence. All right. Now they can veer off to the far right and avoid this ghost, or the far left and avoid this ghost, and continue following the trail. Okay.
Yep.
But they decide to sneak a little bit closer. One of the paladins uses his divine sense to say, "Hey, what is this thing?"
Oh, look, undead.
It is undead, and it is chaotic evil. He's like, "Okay, all right." I throw my. Another player goes, "Hey, have you seen X thing? Because that's the what's happening in the town. Have you seen the MacGuffin that we're looking for?" I have the female ghost fly over to this person and then go, "No." And then the paladin goes, I throw my javelin at it. So
And that was a mistake.
throw the javelin. It hit. It did literally next to no damage. He's like,
Yeah,
dang.
of course it's not going to. It's not magic. I mean, there's
So I start. I have 8 people at the table, so I start from my left and then go counterclockwise around. The banshee basically triggering before the player who threw the javelin's turn. There was like four players in.
yeah.
The paladin, perfect first idea in the situation. Oh shit, weird undead thing. I'm scared of it. Turn undead. Wisdom save. For
Yep.
banshee, they have +0 for wisdom, and they're not trained in it. So great choice by her.
Yes.
Also, running would have been great.
Yeah.
Um,
A successful turn undead, then the party probably ends up all right.
yeah. So she did that. The banshee saved. Then 2 new players, who this is the first time at Adventures League, they kind of go, oh crap, and they're kind of not metagaming, but they definitely played D&D a bunch. Like, dude, there's nothing we can do without magical weapons against the ghost.
Yeah.
So we just need to get out of here. And so they kind of like take like kind of defensive actions and like back up and move around. Unfortunately, their defensive actions and the moving around just kind of brought them into the wailing position.
Got him into the wrong spot.
So the banshee flies just a couple spaces over and wails. Because, got to play the monsters
Yeah,
right.
that's what it's gonna do.
That's what it's going to do. And um, 4 of the players failed immediately, dropped dead. That was like both the level 3s were involved in that.
Yeah.
They were at the table, and then the rest of the table died to the resulting damage from saving. I rolled like an 18 on the damage or
Yeah,
something
so
stupid
even if they
high.
save, they're still taking like 9 points or something. And
No. But with the banshee, it's you save, you don't die, but you take 3d6.
yeah.
And
Oh,
then I
okay.
rolled stupid high in the 3d6, like 15 or 18 or something like
Got
that.
it. So yeah, so they just that's I mean, they're even a barbarian's not going to survive 18
Right.
damage.
And so it's like, let's roll this back to the moment you're about to throw the sphere. Your divine deity has just final destination you back to this moment in time. Do you wish to throw your spear?
Yeah, this is the
The,
moment when the poor life choice was made. You have an opportunity to correct the situation. What do you do?
so realizing that this is an evil creature, but it's definitely not hostile, he goes, I put my javelin back away. I'm like, great. All right, we'll still keep the initiative. Paladin, what would you like to do? I cast Turn Undead.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And I was just like, okay. This time, though, it stuck. It hit.
Okay.
And the Banshee immediately moved away 40 feet and stayed away. They looked at the tracks they needed to do, followed it the right way, and they left. So that was 7 players dead, 8 players dead
Yeah.
there. And they were able to continue on. They won't talk about the encounter much because I know there's some people who haven't done it yet. But the next encounter was just as equally bloody and brutal, but
Oh no.
nobody died. Wait, no, somebody did die, and I have to talk about this. This is a little bit of spoilery. Um, so if you've run the encounter in what is it,
Uh,
Lonelywood, then
Lonelywood. Yeah.
then you can listen. If not, skip ahead 5 minutes. The encounter in Lonelywood, they get up there, they're chasing the white moose, and they get to the area, and there's this large berm with a sarcophagus on top, and then like there's this giant moon dial, and there's a white moose that they're trying to kill that's like in a cave system they have next to it.
Yep.
So they figure out how to open the sarcophagus. A player sacrifices his hand to get it, and which props to him, you know. He just tied a rapier to his hand, and now he's just like going at it Baraka style.
Oh,
So
oh God! Just call me Ash.
yeah, I honestly hope he keeps the no hand. Just like we'll attach something to it, and like he can run around with that.
Yeah.
But another player did die. He was one of the new players that came out. He was playing a kobold. We have another kobold on the table, so we had 2 kobolds in this table. When the sarcophagus opened, it's like the sarcophagus opened, hissing as the air just goes into the sarcophagus, filling it, and then the smell comes out. You expect it to be this rotted, putrid smell, but instead it's pumpkin pie because it's a
Yeah.
pumpkin spice mummy.
Right. Yeah. I remember. Oh,
And
I
then
remember talking about all of this a
and then
while back.
the sarcophagus lid falls off, and up sits a mummy. And like Cobalt player, what do you do? He's like, I eat his face.
I mean,
All
he
right,
smells.
give
He
me.
smells like pumpkin pie. Of course, you're gonna eat his face.
Yeah, so like, give me an unarmed attack. He hits, and he just started gnawing on this mummy, pumpkin pie mummy. He tried to do the.
I
I tried.
dipped him in my coffee.
I tried to do the gaze attack to paralyze him because the mummy's not hostile,
Yeah.
but nobody speaks Elvish to understand him.
Out of 8
The,
people, not one person spoke Elvish.
well, 2 of them did, but the moose had just knocked them out.
Oh, okay. So it was just a weird. You have the weirdest shit happen in your game.
So the moose knocks out the 2 elves, and I try to use the eyes on the kobold first. Everyone else is freaking out because now there's this mummy and this huge moose that's just going crazy.
Yeah.
And the mummy at the second turn, the kobold still is landing his attacks on eating the mummy face. So the mummy goes, enough! And I hit him twice. And like the first attack is like 36 damage, the second attack's like 44 damage.
Oh, so you just straight up killed him.
I didn't know what else to do.
I mean, that's probably.
I tried the vision first. I tried the neutral option first. And then I figured the only thing to do after this thing is gnawing on somebody's face would be to hit it. And it hit it. And it attacks twice. And it does physical and psychic damage. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, he died. And I felt bad. But I when we went around the table, I was narrating his soul being taken into Avernus, going down the river Styx and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I hope they had a great time. I hope they come back out. I hope they come back to a session that's not as brutal as these are. I don't mean them to be. It's just that's how it goes.
I mean, Icewind Dale is just brutal. Like
yeah,
that's not even a thing you're doing. It's just Icewind Dale is it's a difficult module in the beginning. At the
yeah,
lowest levels, like levels 1 and 2, It's kind of rough.
I mean, one of the random encounters from the levels 1 to 3 that they supply in the book is an ancient white dragon.
Yeah. Or a banshee. And
So it's not like, I mean, I'm rolling these and I can just say, hey, yeah, this doesn't happen, but I kind of feel like that is taking away from the players. I mean, they're being very good sports about dying a lot, and I think that's what's absolutely needed. Like,
I mean,
you,
I have no qualms whatsoever with the fact that it is that difficult.
yeah.
You know me, I'm an old player, man. Been around. Second edition was like everything in second edition could just kill you. So the fact that they've created a module that is more attuned with that, at least in the beginning, is kind of refreshing. Like yeah, I enjoy that.
Mm,
And I mean, it's the only campaign I've run in fifth edition where I actually did have some characters die like permanently.
yeah. And I think it's a lot of fun. It is great, and I appreciate them, and I love that they're as positive with it, and I'm liking the big community we're kind of building from that. So
Hmm.
it's definitely a lot of fun.
Yep.
I feel bad too because I need them to get higher levels so we can get out of chapter 1 and into chapter 2.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to take a little bit though. Uh,
Yeah,
it's kind of sucks that they can't play these characters in other things. It just sounds to me like for Adventures League, they need to write a lot more modules.
I don't know why they're not writing modules right now.
I mean,
Um,
maybe they have plans for Adventures League that they're working on to change it.
they definitely have changed it quite a bit because it was very restrictive and it was very hard. Like there was a PHB +1 rule for a while. There's a limit on magic items and stuff like that, and that's still around.
Mhm.
But they definitely loosened up a lot of those restrictions, and it's coming around. I think it's being a little bit more operative. More operative. The biggest complaint that I get from a lot of people is I don't want to run Adventures League because I want to run my own games.
Yeah,
And now
naturally.
I don't think you running your homebrew game is the appropriate way to run Adventures League. Like
No,
that's
no,
that's
absolutely
that's
not.
that's totally out. But running a hardcover book, which is always an option, should be. You should be okay with running a hardcover book. Granted, it's not your homebrew world with you know belly dancer goblins or whatever crazy thing you have in your homebrew world, but at the same time, it's like you need to let this. You need to accept some of the things that they do,
Yeah,
and I feel like what they have going is it's a good mesh. It's just the whole idea of being able to transfer your character from one game to another is is cool, but it really can't be the focus. So like having a Frostmaiden campaign and just seeing how far you get works out real well. But I keep bringing them back because the table needs to keep running.
yep.
So
I mean,
you know the
if you kill the whole party 45 minutes into the evening's adventure, well, that kind of sucks. Everybody gets to go home. So, or you can bring them back, or have them make new characters, one or the other.
yeah yeah. Um, and speaking of, I actually went out this weekend to a family who wanted to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons. It's one of my wife's friends. Really nice family. And I decided to basically run Lost Mines at Fandelver for them. Just started off because they had the starter set.
Mhm.
I bought them the collector's edition books, the whole Dungeon Master Guide, Player's Handbook, and Monster Manual
Oh wow.
for them so they could do that. Um, and I walked them through. Like I said, I still have yet to do a session 0, but I started off by walking them through. Okay, first thing we're going to do is pick a class.
Yeah.
Next thing we're
Yeah.
going to do, first thing we did is we picked a class, and then we picked the race. And then we rolled stats. We did 46, dropped the lowest. And I'm kind of describing along the way what each one does. Then we do the skills, we do saving throws. We kind of go through the whole aspect of what it is to be a character and whatnot. And I built out the characters for them. I skip backgrounds because I don't think backgrounds are totally necessary at level 1.
Well,
They're neat.
you need the background just because it gives you skills.
Right. We'll get to that later. I just wanted to get them familiar with the character sheet, and I want to get them playing the game. So once they had all the gears and stuff, we'll work on the character sheets later after they had some time to. Now they have a character kind of make up their backstory, because Fandelin doesn't really need a backstory for your characters to start off with, just who you are and why you're on this caravan protecting it, you
Mhm.
know. And we can come
And
up with
why you're going to get eaten by wolves, or why you're going to not help the guy get out from underneath the wagon.
so we run the Goblin Ambush, and I'm playing it, and and my wife is kind of getting frustrated, I think, from how I was handling the goblins, because we had just done our own Lost Mines of
Mhm.
Fandelver, and the goblins ambush kind of happened, and they kind of ran out of the trees and attacked us, and you just got murderized in a blender.
Yeah,
Whereas when I did it, the goblins were basically popping out from the trees, taking a shot, and then bonus action hiding again,
yeah.
and then
So,
moving and
so
repositioning
actually
themselves.
fighting intelligently as opposed to just being stupid, dumb monsters.
Well, I mean, they're goblins, so 6, 10, one half of the other.
Yeah, I mean either one works.
Yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes goblins believe that two guys carrying a bugbear is a real bugbear.
Yeah, they do. So, um, I'm kind of like whittling them down slowly, but they some of them are failing their checks. I rolled like a 1 on one of their stealth checks, so they saw where the goblin ran off to,
Mhm.
and the second that happened, that goblin was dead.
Yeah,
And then it happened again. They were readying actions and kind of waiting for things, so it was kind of equal. But because the goblins weren't on the board, people kind of lost track of where they were.
yeah.
And my wife lost track of 2 of them that were very close to her. So one shot an arrow, got her, and she dropped. And then the next goblin came out of the bushes wielding 2 daggers. First one attacked her. Um, so the arrow hit her and she dropped. Then another player ran over. It's like, I have healing, and then healing worded her back up to 6. Then the
Right.
goblin came out of the bush with the daggers. First attack landed and did max damage. It did exactly 6 and
Ah,
took her back down to bleeding. And then the next one hit, so there's a critical hit and
yeah.
two automatic death
Two
failures.
death fails.
And then it's my wife's turn, and she failed the death save roll.
Oh no.
So I killed my wife again.
Oh my god. You kill her more than anyone else. You do. And I honestly I think that's how it should be. Yeah, you
No,
know the old saying, you hurt the ones you love the most.
I felt terrible about it, but I was like, can you roll up one real quick, sweetie? And she's like, yeah, sure. And she kind of goes in and she does the whole random character builder in D&D Beyond,
Uh-huh.
and gets this, a gnome rogue with strength.
Oh no. Oh, that's
And
so bad.
I had him like a wake up in the cart, like, oh, are we there yet? No, okay, whatever. That was great. Uh, so that kind of happened again. Doctor, I don't know what happens. My wife, she keeps dying.
Yep. I mean, I know if I go to the LARP or whatever, I prefer to beat up my friends as opposed to other people. So I get it. I get it. Just taking it out on those that are closest to you.
I don't even mean to, man. It was just there. It could have been
Yeah.
anybody there.
Yeah, I
It
know.
wouldn't have mattered. But it was nice because the family had they do a lot of board games together, and they've always wanted to try D&D, and um, their daughter wants to try to dungeon master for some reason. I asked her why. She goes, I don't know, it just seems fun. I'm like,
I mean, she's
yeah,
yeah. If they're a storytelling type of person, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
yep,
that's how I got it. I love storytelling. I always have. So dungeon mastering does appeal to me.
yep. So it was a lot of fun, and we had a good blast, and um, busy family, so setting up another game here soon might take a while, but I'll keep running this through Fandelver and see how that goes.
Yeah.
Um, but I did find it very interesting, uh, kind of walking through someone that doesn't know the game at all,
Yeah, like
and
absolutely. I can't. I don't know. It's probably been 25, 30 years since I've introduced somebody completely brand new to the game.
Yeah, it was very interesting how quickly they picked up on it. Um, there's a couple questions here and there, but there was no real confusion with the rules, and that's kind of going back to our point earlier. Like the rules are so well written right now
I mean, it's
that
pretty easy, yeah.
yeah, it's not that it was easy. It's just like it made sense.
Yeah.
And maybe it's also because I've been doing it for years. I can explain things really well. But the rolling the stats, how the stats became modifiers, and the modifiers affecting things.
Mhm.
It was right on the money. There was no issues at
Yeah.
all.
I mean,
And
the biggest things you need to understand in that game is rolling the d20, rolling the damage.
yeah,
Uh, when you hit, you need to understand advantage, disadvantage, and you need to just know what your skills, what they kind of do, because you're going to have the numbers next to every one of them.
yeah,
So
they
it's
picked up
pretty,
advantage and disadvantage pretty quickly.
yeah,
Um, and I think that's because in fourth edition it was terrible. The +2 and -2 and
yeah. Third
all the extra
edition's
dumb
nightmare for
math.
all of that shit. So
So you worked out really well, and I think they had a lot of fun, and hopefully they got all the books now. They have everything they need to play the
yeah.
game. So
So are you going to run them through anymore, or are you just going to let
uh,
them go about it and see what they do?
either or. I know, like I said, they're very busy. The teenagers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Concerts and sports and stuff.
yeah.
I'm not
Well,
there yet,
you
but
you've shown them how you've shown them the basics. They've got access to all the tools now, so
hmm
hopefully they go at it.
yeah, I'm sure they will. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's really fun seeing new players, and like I get other people who want to start playing the game as well too. So I won't buy them the sets, the books,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that starts getting expensive at that point.
but I did buy the collector's edition. Like I kind of like, oh man, I really want this now
But good
because the
job.
books are shiny. I didn't know the books were shiny.
Yeah. Uh, so I got a question for you. This popped up in one of our D&D games a couple of weeks back. Go ahead and pull up the Broom of Flying. I know you're at least vaguely familiar with it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to read the details of it. Uh, the Broom of Flying. This wooden
hmm
broom, which weighs 3 pounds, functions like a mundane broom until you stand astride it and speak its command word. It then hovers beneath you and can be ridden in the air, a la Harry Potter. It has a flying speed of 50 feet. It can carry up to 400 pounds, but its flying speed becomes 30 feet while you're carrying over 200 pounds. It
hmm
stops hovering when you land. You can send the broom to travel alone to a destination within 1 mile of you if you speak the command word, name the location, and are familiar with that place. The broom comes back to you when you speak another command word, provided that it is still within 1 mile. So it came up with one of our players. I actually Muffin, Jacob. His character had been riding on the Broom of Flying for quite a while, and apparently he was just standing up riding it.
hmm
That was his description of it. I don't think any of us really heard it until the last time we played. And immediately the other player, Drew, just sort of calls him out for bullshit. That's not how that broom works. You're sitting on it. You can't be standing on it while it's flying. There's nothing in here that says you can't. It simply says it then hovers beneath you and can be ridden in the air.
Yeah.
So
So I mean,
what's your I'm curious what your take on this is.
well, so there is a few anime examples of people standing on a broom and flying.
Mhm.
Um, but traditionally, you sit on a flying broom to ride it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what riding is. You know, to
Yeah.
ride on something is to sit upon it, and have it go. Um, there are cool factor things like I'm really cool and I'm the bad guy and I stand on my thing and it takes me there and I hop off it at the end. Whatever, it's flavor. As
Yeah.
long as you're not trying to attack from it, then you know, be
I
what
mean,
may.
he's a sorcerer.
Yeah,
So, yeah, any attacks he's doing is just spell casting.
right. Um, so you can stand on a flying broom. It's magical. So if you're just doing this to kind of be special, and have flavor, I don't care.
Yeah,
But
it is wholly a flavor thing. Like it makes zero difference whether you're sitting or standing on it. But physics of things just say you can't stand on the broom very easily while it's flying along. But at the
yeah,
same time, it's a D&D game. It's all fantasy.
yeah. Um, it really just comes down to whether or not you want to have that kind of flair. Because, like I said, standing on a flying broom and flying around is a thing in some animes and stuff like that. You're more like surfing on it at that point in
Mhm.
time. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like I think the intent obviously is as a witch, just like the old the whole witches riding
mhm,
flying brooms. You always see them just sitting on it, holding on.
yeah.
So that's
I think I
that's
think
obviously the intention.
I think the question is more is as as someone on a flying broom, are you riding it side saddle or are you riding it like with it in between your legs?
Yeah, and also a flavor thing makes no difference, but yeah,
Because
you have
most
options.
witches, yeah, most witches ride the broom, side saddle.
Mhm.
Most of the things that I see, are those depicted both ways a lot. Um,
Yeah, I've seen that one depicted both ways plenty of times.
I always go with the Kiki's delivery service when it comes to the flying broom. Like that's the image I
Yeah,
pull up for it.
yep. And for those who are not familiar with Kiki's delivery service, go watch it.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm
Great
pretty
one.
sure. I'm pretty sure it's on HBO Max. They've got all the Studio Ghibli stuff.
Speaking of Studio Ghibli, um, I sent this to my wife, and she said this I was the third person to send it to her. But there is a guy who put on a live action performance of Spirited Away.
Oh yeah, I saw some pictures from that. I guess it's the
Yeah,
same stuff that was getting sent around.
yeah,
I want to see this.
oh yeah.
If they start doing Broadway shows of Studio Ghibli, I'm there. Like I have to see this.
Oh yeah, it looked fantastic. Like just crazy, crazy amount of stuff. Like the world building that guy did alone is just
Oh
awe
yeah.
inspiring and just crazy. I everyone pales in comparison to that world building that he's done. So
Yeah. And we've talked about it before. I think there is a tabletop out there of Studio Ghibli stuff.
yes, there is Eyes Unclouded. You can get on DM's
That's
Guild.
it. Yeah.
I own the hardcover. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. That would be a pretty neat one. Now, so since you own the hardcover, because I wasn't aware of all of his stuff necessarily being interconnected. Like every story seems to be its own little thing. With the
It is.
tabletop, yeah, with the tabletop, does it just give you access to all of the info
No,
to run?
they're very different stories. It's a collection of one shots essentially.
Okay.
Um, that like here's a soot sprite one shot. Here's this one shot. Um, and it's got more of the feel and the flavor.
Hmm.
And again, it's not licensed by Miyazaki. It's just taken inspiration from.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's not an official setting.
Gotcha. Yeah, I would love an official book or something like that. There's not many tabletops that I buy other than D&D at this point, but I would probably go out of my way to get that one if it was an official thing.
Oh yeah, I would buy an official Star or a Transformer setting.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
I would. I know they're
Yeah,
coming out with some kind of RPG or something for Transformers, but it's not D&D based. It's gonna be
yeah,
weird.
yeah. There's tons of other tabletops that are out there, but if they're not based on 5e rules, so a lot of them I just avoid because I'm old. I don't want to learn new rule sets. The last one I bought was Dune, and I want to run it at some point, and I probably will. But it's a whole completely different play style. It's not even remotely like Dungeons and Dragons, and I have to learn how to do all of this. It's like 300 plus pages. And then I have to teach out all of my players how to do this.
Yeah, and that's the hard part. Like I want to run a Call of Cthulhu game, um, and it'll probably never happen because I got to find the books I want. I got to learn the rules and understand how things go and be able to run it.
I,
On Inverse, I just got the Ouroboros PDF,
yep.
and that's 5th edition. Yeah, there's some cool different changes and rules to the classes and stuff like that, but it's still 5th edition rules.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
I
not going to be that
have
hard.
I have run Call of Cthulhu. I have I think it's second edition book here. It's not going to be that complicated for you to learn that one
Yeah,
because it's still very akin to D&D. The play style is still kind of similar. I know it uses percentiles for a lot of the stuff in it,
but the skill
and
checks are relatively the same idea.
yeah, the skill checks are pretty much the same idea, except it's off of percentile. You would have to learn the character creation, which isn't it's really not that far outside of what you're used to. And after you
Yeah,
get through character creation, the rest of it kind of just falls into place.
yeah. And so like it's just there, but it's just another thing.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. Uh, it's all these great systems out there, and as you get older, you find less and less time to learn them.
Yeah, and with Elden Ring coming out and all these awesome video games coming out, it's just hard. It's just hard. You don't have enough time for things.
Oh yeah, I never have enough time to do all the stuff I want to do. I mean, I don't even have kids. I don't have a wife or anything, and I still can't find the time to sit and play video games, learn learn other tabletops.
That's why we do it every single day on Twitch.
Well, that is a fair point. Lately, we have been, but it was just 1 day a week. Now it's 3 days a week. But that's while I'm playing games on there, I'm not able to do other stuff. Like the games we're playing are not necessarily always the ones I would like to be playing. Although
Yeah.
lately it's been 7 days to die, and I really do love building things and killing zombies.
Yeah, and the day this podcast is out and you guys are listening to it, our finale for that series, the Grumpy Pub series, is going on. So
Oh yeah, that's
definitely
right.
tune in later tonight, uh, this Tuesday, to watch that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
gonna
we've
kill a
pretty
lot of
much
zombies.
mastered that game. I've been going around and rating other people after we finish our game, and like watching their streams of them play 7 Days to Die.
Hmm.
We've really just mastered that game, and we're not even as good as people like Glock 9 and a few others, but we've really just got that game down to a science. Because man, some people, man, they can't live for a day. One
Yeah.
zombie takes them out.
I mean, if you start out at the beginning on the higher difficulties, then it's a problem. But maybe our next playthrough, whenever the hell that is, we'll do that.
I don't think it's going to matter. I really won't, because I've been doing it myself. Um, and it actually got me thinking. It's because a lot of I really want to run my own homebrew world. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of thinking how do I take D&D, which is this really cool system that's you are better than the average person. From like levels 1 to 5. When you start off at 1, you're already um, a physically fit, semi-trained um, individual of beyond the average commoner stats.
Mhm.
Okay, you are comparable to any soldier or guard that's out there. You're comparable to any noble when it comes to intelligence and political workings. Most basic wizards and mages, you are equivalent to them.
Yeah.
And it's really just through the attrition of lots of monsters do they ever take you down. My wife was a level 1 druid today, and it took 3 goblins hitting her to take her down, and then another one getting a good solid hit on her when she was already being picked up by somebody else. So
Right.
it took a lot to take her down. So how do I have a campaign? Especially, I want this campaign to kind of grow with the players as they discover it, because I've realized that I'm not going to be able to write a campaign setting and just have all its stuff ready for them. I have to kind of do what Panda does and kind of work on things a little bit at a time. So like if they go over here, what is over here? I don't know. Let's figure it out together.
Right.
And then I come up with what's there and I record it and I documented it and then I start writing it down and yada yada yada. And that's what really kind of drives that game then, you know?
Yeah.
So I picture having like a giant hex grid of the area that they're going to be in. And then as they kind of like go to a hex grid and they explore that area, whether it just be like traveling down a road and it's just a road hex grid, you know, what is down that road? It could be literally nothing. It could just be a long stretch of land and there's just a bunch of random encounters from a bunch of random monsters. Maybe that causes them to go off the road a whole hex grid and discover a hidden cave system
Hmm.
and then like whatever's there. But if I were to do that, they would out level the game that they're playing.
How
And
so?
I would have to slow them down. So when you start off the game, you from level 1 from level 0 from 1 to 2, it's 100 experience points and you're level 2.
Yeah.
Okay?
The early
And
levels are really easy. Yes.
really fast. Bam 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 bam. And so if I want to have a number of level like low level encounters, okay? And let's say they're level 3 at this point in time and they go into this haunted mansion and they fight through this haunted mansion tooth and nail, and they level up to 4 while they're in there, but they don't need a long rest, and so they keep fighting their way through this thing, taking short rests along the way, and they beat the big bad, and now they're level 5. Okay, per the
Okay.
rules, you know, you take a long rest and then you go up to level 4.
Hmm.
So let's say they finish doing this stuff and now they're level 5. And the level from level 5 to 6 is a big jump of experience points they're going to need. But it's not impossible to say that hey, they're just going to go through this one place and meet that challenge and beat that challenge and now they come out of 6.
Yeah.
And then they go into the next place. Now they're 7, now they're 8, now they're 9, blah blah blah. And they're just kind of just rolling through all the content. I can't really develop a nice world if they level up so fast. By the time they get from town A to town B, they go from start off in town A at level 1, and by the time they arrive at town B, they're level 10. And then, well, I need you guys being 5 at this place because this place is, you know, planned out for 5, not 10. You know,
I mean, that's an
um,
easy thing to handle, though. Eh, if you're going to do experience points, it's a lot harder to control. But do milestone, and it's simple. Like
yeah,
I've been,
milestone is what I always do because it's simpler.
yeah.
But I kind of wanted to do experience points because I wanted to reward them for going out and exploring places.
You could do the old style of XP. The I know with I know for sure with second edition it was this way. I think third was too. Every time you do anything, say you kill a goblin, it's worth 10, experience points.
50.
Split it.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's what you do now. A single
is it
goblin's worth 50 experience points.
okay? Well, yeah, but is it worth 250 or is it worth
No,
50?
50. It's worth
So
50.
so if you have a
So,
party of 5, it's worth 10 XP.
right. So when we did the level ones today, and they killed 4 goblins, and there was 4 of them, they all got 50 experience points.
Yeah, I mean, levels 1 to 2 is always going to be really fast, and levels 1 to 2 kind of should be pretty quick. Like, yeah, you want to sort of get through those fast. At third level, things slow down a good bit, and have a lot more control as to what they do. Uh, if you provide a lot more role play time and a little less encounters, or have the encounters not necessarily worth as much XP, then you can slow roll things even with using experience points. Obviously, doing it with milestones is a hell of a lot easier, but it's still doable.
I guess. I'm just worried that
I mean,
You'll still just out level the content too fast, too quickly, and
I've been running my campaign with milestones, and I have been slow rolling the shit out of it. And I told my players when I started the campaign I was going to do that. The stuff they've
yeah,
done, if they were getting XP, they would be 10th level by now. As it is, they're 6th, I think, just because I want to keep this lower level. I want these levels to matter more. And there's a lot going on in my world. It's not always fights. There have been entire adventures where it was just role play. There was two adventures or two nights back to back where they played and they didn't kill anything. They just talked.
yeah. I
And
really kind of think that if I'm thinking of maybe doing the whole the reality level of resting system where like a long rest is a week's worth of downtime and a short
yeah,
rest
yeah,
is 8 hours of sleep. I'm thinking that may slow it down so I don't have to artificially pull back the experience points.
yeah.
But at the same time then let them still like do their thing and rest up. But then they may favor short rest characters more than long rest characters and
Maybe. But it also doing it that way also provides a lot more opportunity for your players to build things in the world.
yeah.
Because if it's taken a week for a long rest, that's a week of downtime that they have. That's a week of downtime for training. That's a week of downtime for talking to NPCs, building building a life for that character. These characters, while they might be adventurers, they might also want to open a bar, or one of them might actually want to be a blacksmith. When they retire, well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to be a farmer, so I'm going to spend a little time. I'm going to purchase a lot of property and start seeding things, have a family. Like there's so much more to characters if you allow them time outside of adventuring.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something I need to work on too, but definitely something I wanna try out more. It definitely probably won't be streamable, even though I'd probably host it virtually,
Mhm. Yeah.
just cause like that's not that fun to watch, I don't think, unless you're
Uh,
Matt Mercer.
I mean, yeah, if you allow if you have the right group and they do a lot of role playing, it can be a lot of fun to watch because you're going to get a lot of storytelling. And
Yeah,
that is why people watch these streams usually is for the storytelling, not for the oh, I killed this or I rolled a nat 20.
yeah. I was actually watching some Crit Crab today with my wife, and
Mhm.
um, a lot of people start their streams with the ambitions of being the next Matt Mercer, and I'm definitely far from that. I just kind of, you know, I
Sure.
barely know what Critical Role is half the time.
Well, you
Um,
still never watched any of it, so.
well, it's not my fault.
Y- y- Yeah. Yeah, okay, it's only been streaming for 5 years now. I'm sure you could have picked up an episode or 2 here and there.
Maybe. But like I said, like that works for them, and their system is great and grand, and it is spectacular what they do. I just, you know, because he runs a table of what 8 people, 6 people.
7, I think 7 is the actual party.
That's insane to me. That's just literally insane.
Well, so much of the time is spent role playing. The combat, there's combat in pretty much every game session, but a lot of it's role play. If
And maybe the players are really good at playing off each other. I'm
I mean,
guessing.
they're all good friends and they're all professional actors. Yeah, they
Points.
like yeah, they were meant to do this.
So I mean, there's that. I mean, they're always going to have that success that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's great and it works for them. But like I said, I don't think I could run still more than 5. Even though I'm running 8 on a weekly basis now.
Oh, I'm with you. I have a hard cap of 6. My current group is 5. 5 is the sweet spot. That's where I like it.
That's.
Do what?
I was going to say something, but I'm not a child.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I'm really interested in starting a homebrew world. Like I said, I've been
Oh, I
sitting on it
want
for a
you to.
while.
I really want you to. I want to see you run your own game. straight out of your head, not what other people have written. I've been wanting this for a while.
But Ouroboros just came out though, and I love Chris Metzen and all his work.
No, I mean, I'll run that. You've still you got time. You can do both.
No, I need players. You want to play in the game?
If it's streaming or if it's online, the answer is no. Because I
Come
don't enjoy.
on,
I do not
come
enjoy.
on, come on,
Nope. Also, peer
come,
pressure doesn't actually work on me.
come on, come on, Gucci, come on.
But I'm sure that you can find a group of wonderful players who will do it. If it's in person, I'm all about it. It's a shame that we don't live close to each other.
Yeah, I got to figure that out. Craig, do you wanna come in and play the game? It's your opportunity. Speak up, and you can come in our game, and you can be the main character and everything. Craig, Craig,
Up
Craig.
and there he goes out the door.
Ah, jackass.
So long, the grumpiness has been your friend. Now go and spread anger through D&D. No, don't do that. Be happy, be friendly, be awesome, but maintain the boiling hate that inside your heart. I don't know, buddy. I'm rambling at this point. Shut me up and end this podcast.